Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race at Saratoga on Thursday is the Birdstone. We're going 1.75 miles for 150,000. It's carded as race number 8. Let's take a peek at this field. Next, the number 7, Odds on David Aragona's morning line. 4 to 5, why not? Last time we saw Next, he wired them in the Brooklyn. He looked good doing it.
He really did look good doing it. Since, boy, they stretched this horse out at the end of last year, Dan. He exploded to 2 big wins, and he looks no worse for wear winning the Brooklyn last time. It was another really strong performance.
Lone Rock, however, is very familiar with the Birdstone, won this race in 2021, third in this race last year. He's been a solid marathoner for most of his career. We take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector. Remember that Next one gate to wire last time out in the Brooklyn, likely to sit in here because Seafoam, the New York bred on the inside, does have speed. I will take exception with a fast-paced designation. I find it hard to believe they're going to be running and gunning going 14 furlongs.
Yeah, I don't know about a fast pace. I guess it's all relative when you're talking about 1.75 mile races, Dan. Just about any pace, I suppose, could be considered fast because these horses will be tired at the end. I do think the one's going to the lead in here. It's his only chance to win. And I think he's of some mild interest in this race, depending upon whether he can still run one of his really good races, and that remains to be seen. Next is the horse to beat, though. His form since they stretched him out is very good.
Seafoam is making his second start off a little bit of a layoff. He ran in the Commentator at Belmont, going a 1-turn mile and a 16th last time out. Showed good speed, had to go pretty fast on the lead. That race has produced a couple of next out winners. The 8th place finisher coming back to win a one other than at Saratoga with a 95 buyer. He's a veteran. He's got class. He's got speed. But perhaps the angle that you like most of all is he loves Saratoga.
He loves Saratoga, and he also happens to be a horse, Dan, who loves to go to the early lead and to not really take pressure up there. When he can get loose on the lead, he's a really tough customer in his races. That might not make a difference at 1.75 miles. But going 2-turn dirt races when he's loose on the lead, he can be really tough. And just look at his recent past performances, Dan. His form's not great, but there are a bunch of races in there where he was not left alone. Either didn't make the lead or wasn't left alone up there, and it makes a big difference in his performances.
The number 2 is the Skipper 2, and distance is a big question mark for this horse, but he deserves an opportunity in a stakes race. He's won his last 2 starts, including this handicap at Gulfstream, going 1 mile and a 16th with the short stretch. I like what Jockey Jaramillo did in this race. There wasn't a fast pace up front, so he got the Skipper 2 motivated pretty early and into the race, and then the Skipper 2 grinds it out. Looking at his pedigree, not too sure about this extra distance, but again, he is in very good form.
Yeah, his last 2 races are obviously the 2 best he's ever run. So they'll take a chance here, move him up in class. I'm not sure that the, stretching all the way out in distance, I'm not really sure that's going to work out for them. It's a pretty big ask for this horse. His last 2 races are good.
Treasure Trove, the number 3, does have some stamina in his pedigree. He's a half-brother to Preakness winner Rombauer. He was listed as a vet scratch at Laurel on July the 1st. He was entered in sort of an optional claiming race on the turf in a middle distance. He's the kind of horse that needs a little bit of pace to set him up for trainer Lynn Cash.
Yeah, they're going to, just take a real shot here, Dan. Switch from turf to dirt and stretch them all the way out and move them way up in class. And just take a shot here and see what happens. They've run him in several stakes races in the past, going, shorter 2-turn races on the dirt. He's just, no match for those kinds of horses. I find it hard to believe it'll be any different in this kind of a race, but another one, they're going to take a shot here and see if he's better going longer.
One of the interesting new shooters stretching out in distance is the number 4. That's Dash Attack, who was a really good early 3-year-old down at Oaklawn Park for Kenny McPeak last year. He swept through the Smarty Jones and the Southwest, and then he kind of fell into trouble when facing tougher competition. He got back on the beam last time out in an off-the-turf race at Ellis Park on a wet track. Now, they're stretching him all the way out. I still think there's something here with this horse, and even though his pedigree might not indicate it, I think he'll stay this distance.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far he wants to go here. Maybe he can stay this kind of a trip, though, Dan. He still has forward to go. I think he could improve again. It's obviously, it's another horse that I think it's hard to make a real strong case for in here, stretching out this far in distance off of a win in a race that was rained off the turf last time. What he does have going for him, Dan, is he's really, really loves a wet track. So if it rains up there, maybe that'll, sort of enhance his chances.
The 5 is Time for Trouble. He's good on turf. He's good on dirt. His last dirt race was this effort at Keeneland. 2 starts back, going 1.1 miles. He was utilizing the turf to dirt move that he will be getting once again at Saratoga in the Birdstone. And he got a very nice trip on the inside. But you see, this grinding style gets up at 1.1 miles. It's going to work well for him as he stretches back out, Mike. And he's got some tactical speed, too. He's won his last 2 starts on dirt.
Yeah, he does. Listen, it's obviously much more of a turf pedigree, but this is the kind of pedigree that will just stay all day long. So you don't think the distance is going to get him beat. He does handle the main track pretty well. He happens to be in very, very tough this time in a dirt race, but this horse is pretty good.
Lone Rock is the number 6. He's a millionaire. He likes to stay all day long. Really, the question handicappers have to ask is what happened last time out at Churchill Downs, going 1.5 miles, where he finished behind next, and he just didn't do any running at all. Now, he was entered in the Brooklyn, and I talked to Robertino Diodoro before the race, and he just said, throw it out. It was a bad afternoon. I love the way he's training. He scratches out of the Brooklyn, and he's now coming into this off a layoff.
Yeah, just real questions to answer now. He's 8 years old at this point, Dan, and it kind of feels like it's been a while since we've seen his really, really good race. That being said, his really good race is very good, and it would give Next probably all he wanted in a race like this one. We'll see if he's still capable of it. He was terrible last time. I was willing to throw that out going into the Brooklyn, Dan, because he bobbled at the start. He just never looked comfortable in that race, and he just stopped early. I thought he ran really well 2 starts back off of a really long layoff. It made me feel like he can still run a little bit. I wonder what kind of form he's in now.
The number 7 is our morning line favorite. Next, trainer Doug Cowens did his homework with this one before claiming him for 62.5. He would watch this horse breeze in the morning. He just would love the way he would finish off his breezes and gallop out well afterwards. He thought maybe it would make a distance horse. They took him. Here he is in the Brooklyn. He just galloped these horses into the ground. It was a really nice ride. The pace wasn't very fast, but Next just draws off at the 3/16 pole, and he leaves a pretty solid horse in Warrant gasping.
Yeah, he did. He didn't have that much pressure on the lead in this race. They didn't make him go that fast, and you can just see how strong he is through the stretch here. He buries this field. This is a good performance. 2 starts back, it was sort of the total opposite off that layoff, Dan. They just pressed him on the lead the entire way, and he got tired through the stretch. We'll see. I wonder if Lone Rock goes after him this time, because Lone Rock, when he's good, he's going to show speed in his races. This horse will probably show some speed too. I wonder if these 2 horses hook up.
Plus Seafoam on the inside, as Mike mentioned, likes to go to the lead as well. Maybe it gets a little hot. The good news for fans of Next to the short prices, he has shown the ability to sit off a horse and finish. Maybe he is better, though, on the lead. We take a look at our top selections for the Birdstone. Next just looked so good in the Brooklyn last time out. He looks like an emerging stayer in this division. It may not be deep if a horse like Lone Rock can't find his best form. Maybe it's Next's division for the taking.
It kind of seems that way right now. We'll see if Lone Rock can get back to one of his good races here. I didn't want to go against this horse, Dan. He's been awful good since they stretched him out. And as you've already pointed out, if they go in front of him, I don't think he has to get caught up into that kind of a race where he goes too fast early. I think he'll sit a little bit. He's the horse to beat in here. If for some reason everybody's totally given up on Lone Rock and he's some kind of big price in here, maybe I'll take a shot with him.
I'm not sure if I've totally given up on Lone Rock, but I do think Time for Trouble's running style and pedigree just geared for this distance. I think if there is a solid pace, maybe he can grind up and get a piece and, maybe make the exact a little bit worthwhile. 7641 for Mike, 7521 for me. It's the Birdstone, the feature at the Spa on Thursday. Best of luck.